Well, I couldn't find any. I confirmed this is 1 inch, but I couldn't find any 3/4 to 1 inch adapters. I may still have to look. So somebody mentioned using this style muffler, which has 3/4 thread. So I picked up 2 of them, and unfortunately they only had one elbow, so I'm using it currently to mock up. So here, as you can see, everything's really loose. So once I do tighten everything down, it should pull that in just enough to get away from the hood being touching it. And once I get everything set, I got lock nuts to keep things from moving, so I don't have to really over tighten anything, and it'll afford me some adjustability. All right, so to finalize this out, I've got a locking nut for here. I've got a locking nut for here. I'm going to need a 45 on here, and then the muffler. Then what we want to do here is come up with a 90 and then come out with this. So yeah, what I can do now is I can actually take all that back and turn it in. Shouldn't be a problem. And I wrote down 1 3/4 inch 45 male to female, 1 3/4 inch 90 male to female, and that should set me up with these. All right, so with the decision made here, I'm going to go ahead and start working on finalizing the dash tower and work on the controls. I may be able to utilize this hole to run some of the cables through, because obviously the spark plug doesn't line up in the right place on this, but I think the engine's where it's going to be. So I think I might go ahead and try to see if I can pull that plug out without having to remove any of this stuff. So yeah, to get that plug out, I'm going to have to remove 3 of the engine mount bolts and loosen the 4th one so you can twist the engine, because even using a wrench, yeah, you couldn't. The socket was hitting right here. So anyhow, got the plug out. It doesn't look horrible, but just because of this issue, I'm going to get 2 new ones and put in it. So I want to add that to my list. Well, it's the next day, and I just got back from town and fiddled with this a little bit more. I think this is what I'm going to end up with this engine. That I didn't put the dash tower on, but I've got the hold down clips lined up, so that's where the hood's going to rest this way. And then I still have some play here before this one will hit. And honestly, I've got another right angle or angle that I can actually angle that down if I need to, or take the straight pipe out and just well, yeah, I don't know. We're gonna go with this, and then I may have to adjust it later on. So the other thing I wanted to check is make sure I'm not going to have any interference on this belt. I think I'll be fine. I do notice the belt is, I may have to go with the washers and bring that pulley in some. I don't have it tightened down, but I do see it have a little jog right there. So yeah, I may have to play with the washers on that. And I did check, so yeah, it does declutch. So yeah, we're good there. The other thing is the starter wire. Now this wire has to come all the way down under the engine and come all the way around to hook to the starter, which is up under here. There's the bolt right there at the end of my finger. But I don't think this is heavy enough gauge wire. So while I was in town, I got this sort of cheap jumper kit, and it's got 6-gauge wire, and I got the receipt. It's $30 for this. And then I also stopped at an auto store, and I got this 4-gauge wire. Obviously it's got a regular car terminal on it, so we picked them up. So for this setup here, it was $33.50. So depending on which one I use, the other one will get turned back in. So looking at this wire, it's the same gauge as this. This is the goes to the battery. So more than likely, I think I'm going to go with this, and we'll just turn this one back in for a refund. So there was a suggestion using nuts here to secure it, to keep it from moving, and it seems to be working pretty good. But the issue I had with that is, other than the pipe wrench, this is the biggest crescent wrench I got, and I am definitely short. But luckily I had this guy. I met this guy at a meetup here in Texas. He's up in Canada, and he restores, and he makes these, and they're serialized. But yeah, that got me on there to tighten it up, so that worked pretty good. And lastly, I got a set of new plugs. I did pick up a 90, because I was originally thinking about coming up with this, but basically if I did this, it put the muffler way up here, because I had to come up with 245s to get it to go back out, and it would probably hit the hood. So unfortunately I opened that up, so that can't get turned back in. But I do have two more 90s and another nut that I can turn back in for a refund. But I want to hang on to this stuff right now. I did pick up some more of these terminals too. So yeah, and the other thing I need to work on is fixing up a choke and a throttle cable. And these are all the old ones. They're old stuck, so but I got them out because I'll be able to use it to get the length right. Once I get control and electrical figured out, we're going to have to deal with fuel. This carburetor does not have a built-in fuel pump, so I guess what I'm going to do is mount one right here. And it's sort of like how the 20T is. It's got a fuel pump in this general area also. So that's what we're going to do. And yeah, it just seems like I made more work for myself, but yeah, it is what it is. I think I'm getting the engine sorted out. I'm going to call it quits here for now, guys. Thanks for watching.